those are the numbers. Let's talk about them. So, if you're not familiar, this is the halving cycle equation for Bitcoin. Long story short, that little E you see there is called sigma. It's a Greek letter. Means we're just going to add a bunch of things using this equation here. So that I starts at 0, and that 0 increments to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until it hits 32, 33, until all of the coins have been mined. The reason why that number on top you'll see in different amounts is because it's an estimation. So check this out. 2024, right now, the current block reward, 3.125. And then eventually, 2140. Based on the numbers I ran, it'll be the 33rd cycle. And it'll be at 100% mined. But the important question is, what happens when you plug in values to this, and what do those values mean? So, right here, approximately, that's the important part, actually. I can't believe I didn't start with that. Infinite over 21 million. That's why this matters. This equation is telling the network and everyone who agrees to it, these are the rules, you cannot change them, this is what's going to happen, and it's all lined out. So, I is 0. You plug it in, your result will be that. What is that number? That number is the total amount of circulating supply that cycle. So, let's get into the old TI-36X Pro. So for example, 210,000 times 50 over 2 to the first. That first cycle is 2012. Circulating supply, now we're up to 15,750. That's how much got added in that cycle. Make sense? Another really cool thing about this equation is if you pull that 2100 out and you just want to know how many units per block you get, just use that 50 over 2i. So for example, we have 50 over 2i plugged in here, and we are on cycle 5, which means I equals 4. So I equals 4, 50 over 2 to the 4th power, 25 over 8 as a decimal, 3.125. No cheat codes, guys. This is the thing. This is why it's so amazing to me as someone who loves numbers, is you can't manipulate this. So as we see here, I equals 2, meaning that's the 3rd cycle. A little confusing at first, but it's algebra. That's how these sigmas work in their cycles. 12.5 per block as the reward, and the total supply being added in that cycle, 2,625,000, 2016. Let's jump to where we're at currently here. Block reward, everyone kind of knows this, 3.125, epoch 5. The only amount of Bitcoin that is going to be distributed this cycle, 2024, 656,000. Holy cow. What the heck? We're on a decline, aren't we? Yes, that's the point. 1.5 per block on the 6th cycle, 328,000. That's what they mean by halving. It halves every time by design. Pretty cool, right? And I also wanted to touch on how mining works. It's a very, very simple process, and it's beautiful, actually. So the blocks are mined through proof of work. Computers are manually trying to guess a value to satisfy an equation set by the network. For example, the network, your miner, connects to a pool. It's given a known value, aka all the previous transactions on that blockchain. Your miner is trying to guess X. 5, that's just an arbitrary example. Whatever the network data is, plus whatever number meets the criteria will award you that next block. Millions of people, or ASIC chips, I should say, us people aren't doing anything besides providing power, are trying to find X 24/7. Every 10 minutes, a new block is mined on approximation, but it seems like it's going steady, so that's kind of the number we use. There are 2 to the 256,000th possible x values. So, okay, since we have a calculator here, what is that? 2 to the power of 256. I'll leave that up to you to figure out what that E77 means, but it's big. There's a lot of choices, and you don't have an advantage. The biggest farm doesn't have an advantage over that guy at home, because ultimately it is one chip solving that block, and it is destined and pinned to this equation right here. If you have any more questions about it, ask me. I'm really not sure if this helped. I hope it did. But yeah, if you just want to plug in numbers in the calculator for the I value, now that I've explained how that rowing and adding system works, the reason why you're adding all of them is because on this 0 first cycle, you get that amount, and the next amount, you're adding this much. Added until the end. And oh, buddy, if you don't think you're early, I mean, you're not going to be alive in 2140, but if you're anything like me, this is for the future and like generations ahead. Maybe I'll see some life-changing wealth in my life. I don't know. That'd be cool, but all I know is I'm preserving my value because I am tied to mathematics. So if you believe in the world and the universe and nature, look into that.